You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us on another edition of Inside Automotive. We have got a great friend of ours, Dave Kelleher, who is of David Auto Group. You touched a nerve with your fellow dealers out there, and really for the industry that's been watching this. So, and of course I'm talking about now with the newest move from Stellantis, where the CEO, Carlos Tavares, has abruptly ended his tenure there at the company because of differences in views with the board. So I'll let you pick it up right there. What did you think when you heard this news yesterday?
Well, I was encouraged because, it was obviously they were ready after the work that the dealers had done, the UAW had done. And it's funny because we kind of partnered with the UAW in a sense, and we actually had conversations with their leadership. And we were all adamant that this company was going in the wrong direction, and that we needed to do everything we could to save it. So that's when we went public, and then I was concerned that they seemed to indicate that he would stay out for the duration of his contract.
Yeah,
which through 2026, which was, Mr. Tavares is a brilliant guy, but he had the wrong idea about how to run a car company in North America.
Yeah,
I think he had some initiatives that he intended to apply. He thought they would work regarding the dealer body, regarding the volumes, regarding the margins. And I think they were all flawed ideas in North America. Yeah. So the fact that, it's official, he's resigned, and I'm encouraged. And I'm encouraged by some of the leadership that is running Stellantis right now. Antonio Filosa, I'm a big fan of. Again, a Marchione disciple.
Yeah, that's right.
Came into Marchione and has a firm understanding on what North America is and what the dealer body is.
That's right.
He understands that we're the distribution wing, and that we have to do certain things to make sure the dealer body is healthy.
That's right.
So, I feel like we're right. And as I said before, Antonio Filosa is great, but he can only do what he's given the tools to do.
That's right.
And now with Mr. Tavares having stepped down, I think he'll have a greater opportunity to get those tools.
That's great. If you had to come up with a short list of things that you'd like the new CEO to focus on from the dealer perspective to fix things, what would be on that list?
Well, first of all, some of the things that they adjusted, which were really takeaways, are co-op advertising. In August of 23, I received roughly $50,000 worth of co-op. In August of 24, I received $22,000 worth of co-op.
Wow.
Because they tweaked the formula, if you will. And then SSI is similar. The SSI bonuses are similar. Yeah. So Jimmy, as well as I do, when we're getting down to nitty gritty, when I'm looking at a $500 loser deal, I keep in mind, okay, well, I'm going to get my co-op, I'm going to get my SSI bonus, I'm going to get my dock fee, I'm going to get.
Of course. Yeah.
You add up the fact that a transaction is a good thing. As long as the transaction's not a $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 loser,
right?
You can't sustain at that. But when you get down to the nitty gritty and you say, do I want this car or do I want this customer? Those are the kind of things that makes you go ahead and go forward.
Oh, no question about it.
And they took these things away from us, and they mitigated them. So I'd like to see the return of those things, those common things that all of our competition has.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is you're leaving us out there on an uneven playing field.
That's right.
Where we can't compete against the GMs and the Fords and the Toyotas and the Hondas. And then I'd like to see them get very, very aggressive at filling in our model lines.
Yeah.
We don't have a sedan. Is Honda stupid because they have an Accord? Is Toyota stupid because they have a Camry?
Right.
I mean, how do we not have a sedan in the market? How do we not have a mid-size SUV at this time? How do we not have a small compact SUV at this time? We used to have a full line of vehicles. So those are things. So, get the transactions back to the dealers.
Yeah.
Bill in put us back on an even playing field in things like co-op, SSI bonuses, and alike. And I think we'd be quickly back on our way to success.
Right. And if they bring these prices down from where Tavares had the pricing, I mean, he was like inching them up and saying, okay, we're going to compete with the BMWs out there and some of the high-line vehicles in terms of price. You've got a good car, but it's not a BMW 5 or 7 Series or what have you. So having said that, now you've got a 6-month supply of vehicles back there. If they do price adjust, what do they do with the cars that are in your inventory currently?
Yeah, well, they have made some price adjustments, and they have given us those price adjustments on the current models on our lot. Not all of them, and I think that's necessary.
Yeah.
That we can't be selling one car that's $10,000 more than the other car.
Right. Right.
That's equal line, but I think certainly as they move through the search for a CEO, I think somebody with experience in North America is vital. Somebody who understands this marketplace, that understands the dealer network and the distribution model that is set up right now.
And that's really what the company needs at this point in time, more individuals like that to really open back up the relationships that I think Tavares really hurt in the way of relationships with the dealer body, right?
Yeah, I've heard the name bannered around, Mike Manley.
Yeah, of course.
That's the rumor mill, that vicious rumor mill. But a guy like that who understands the North American market.
Yeah. Well, in this case, would be coming out of the dealer arena, so fresh off being a car dealer.
Well, he would have a different respect for dealers, I think, knowing that what he now knows.
Yeah.
Being from that other side of it.
But
that's a guy who's again a Sergio disciple, spent 25 years in North America.
That's right.
Understands a great deal. He would probably be in line to bring back guys like Tim Kuniskis, Jimmy Morrison, these extraordinarily talented guys that left under Tavares.
Somebody needs to get the band back together.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, when I talked to a Tim Kuniskis or a Jim Morrison, and these guys, they know every inch of this market.
Yeah,
they know what the customer wants. They know what the pricing should be. They know how to manipulate margins. They know how to create profit, sell cars and create profit. So yes, and Mr. Tavares, he managed from the expense side of the ledger, and you need to spend money to sell cars in North America.
There's no question about it. How long, Dave, do you think it'll take to right the ship? Is this a 6-month process, 1 year, 2 years? I mean, there's a lot of repairs that have to be made here.
There's a lot of stuff that has to be done. But if you get the right talent in the room, and some of the names I just mentioned to you are the right talent, if you get the right talent in the room, you're going to see some serious differences in 6 months. You're going to see monumental differences in a year. And then I think within 2 years, we can have this ship really on course to get back to normalcy.
Sure.
I do. I mean, we have some, the dealer council on the last meeting got a chance to see some of the upcoming product. I thought it was terrific stuff. So, you take a look and I could see that a talented regime go in and say, okay, I know this is slated for 6 months from now. I need it in 4 months. I got to get this car on the road. I got to, what else we got? What else we got? Okay, we need another one, and we put this in here. So I could see that happening, and all of a sudden we're selling cars again.
That's right. That's right. And Jeep and Ram both enjoy a very, very loyal customer base. I mean, obviously they've kind of been a little wonky lately because they're going, wait a minute, these cars are not what we're used to, or the prices of them. But for the most part, you've got a very loyal buyer and car shopper out there, don't you?
Yes. No, we do. And we've challenged them, Jim. I mean, in part because of cost cutting, we've had some quality issues that we never had before.
Yeah.
That Mopar and Mike Koval and his gang at Mopar are doing the best they can to help us resolve these things quickly. But it's a difficult proposition, especially when you sell a customer car that has an issue in a short period of time.
That's right.
So, and a lot of that's been cost cutting, pressing the vendors too hard.
Yeah.
Pushing these suppliers harder and harder and harder. And my understanding was Mr. Tavares didn't like a couple of the CEOs, so he cut out some major suppliers and replaced them with other suppliers that weren't as suited as well, because he just didn't like the CEOs. I heard that story, and I think that was from a credible source. So, those types of decisions are difficult, and we need cars that are good. So we press the loyalty, but again, the hurt has come in that we haven't had a Renegade, we haven't had a Cherokee.
Yeah.
The customer that comes back off lease on Cherokee says, "I just want another one," and we say we don't have one. But you're at $350 a month, but can you take a Grand Cherokee for $630 a month? We've lost those customers.
It's not going to happen, right?
We need to bring those customers back into fold again.
Yeah, and you can. I mean, the good news is that you can. With an effective pricing structure and a new ad campaign to welcome those people back into the showroom and deliver them the cars that they're used to. So I agree with you. It's probably going to take a couple of years to right the ship and
well, we need to spend money on marketing for sure, but we also need a CEO that has the understanding that the dealer body is such a great resource for them.
Yeah,
I mean, we sell the cars. I'm out there in the community. My dealer brethren are out there in the community. We are building goodwill. We're bringing customers into our showroom, and we just need the tools we have to maintain those customers and keep them as lifelong customers.
Sure.
And better. You were in this business. You understand the ground level and the dealer floor.
That's right. That's right.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
And
no question.
it's not like Europe, and you can't manage this like Europe. Yeah. I mean, the dealer body in North America, through all the years, through all the trials and tribulations, the one great asset that Chrysler always had was their dealers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And everybody who knows would tell you that.
That's right. Back in the 70s with the gas shortage and the big, huge limo type cars they were building, and I mean, and then when Iacocca stepped in and he corrected things, and everyone got on his bandwagon, and you did great things then. And then, of course, through the Great Recession, and you had the company kind of falling apart. And, here comes again leadership saying, everybody buy product, or I should say dealers take these vehicles. You've always been there for them.
Yeah, we've always been there for, and in times we stepped up. During 08, we bought cars that we didn't need because we wanted to keep the company solvent.
That's right. That's right.
But the company took care of us.
Yeah.
In this case, the company hasn't taken care of us, and they've asked us to do the same thing. And, that's a hard pill to swallow.
That's right. That's right. Any last messages or I should say in these last moments, any messages that you'd like to share with your fellow dealers out there about this transition? I know you touched on obviously a number of them, but any final message that you'd like to send out to them?
Well, I can tell them that under Kevin Parrish's leadership this year, Mike Benthausen's coming in. Mike's been very, very involved. The dealer council, has, I thought, performed extraordinarily well during this time. We made the decision collectively to take our gripes public, to take our concern for the company and for the dealer body public. Mm-hmm. That was an orchestrated effort. I'm really proud of the way this dealer council has reacted. So they should understand that the 20 people that represent them have fought and clawed, and hopefully we're moving towards a great place. And a lot of it has to do with the work of the dealer council and all the work we've done. That's right. 20 great dealers from around the country that fought hard on this one. And it was a unique situation, one I've never encountered in my 20 years as a dealer and 35 years in the business.
Yeah.
Never saw anything like this. So hopefully we've turned the page and we're moving in the right direction, and it feels good, Jimmy.
That's great. That's great. Dave Kelleher, president of David Auto Group out of Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. As I said last time you were on to talk about this very troubling situation, which I think you played a role in correcting. We just got a ton of views and so many great comments about your presentation on our show. So we thank you for that. And hopefully, I'd like to think that we did make a difference out there. So thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Jimmy, I can tell you, assertively, we did.
Yeah.
I actually sent the interview to Mr. Elkin, and I told him, if you want my thoughts, here they are.
Yeah.
And it was because the interview that you and I did was so telling.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I don't know that he ever saw it. Maybe he's one of those views you saw, but it was that important.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, and we will continue to have this discussion as things develop here. So thanks so much for joining us.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.